Hello and welcome everyone. I hope you guys are doing good today. Um, those of you that know me know that I'm a huge sports fan, and today is the NFL draft. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I'm really excited about that coming up tonight. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me for another review with me, Dr. T. And today we're going to be reviewing episode 2 of OWN's new show called Somebody's Son. So episode 1 was really intriguing. I enjoyed it. And today we're meeting the sex. So there are 3 guys. Okay, so if you haven't watched the show, it's 3 guys, and each guy starts off with 4 women. And the twist is their mom is the person that is going to be seeing them on the dates. They're all living in the same house, and their mom is the one that's going to be deciding who gets cast off and ultimately who he ends up with. So really different show that's out on the market. I haven't seen anything like this. So episode 1 was really cool. And so it seems like what they're doing is they're taking each show to introduce us to a guy. So this is episode 2. We're meeting the second guy, and then I'm guessing episode 3 will meet the third guy. So we'll get right into it. Let me get my screen up here. All right. So now what they did start off by picking up where they left off with the gentleman from last episode. Okay. And so remember, he started off with the 4, and the Nigerian woman went home. I can't remember her name. So now we're left with the 3, and they are told that they will be doing a photo shoot with him. Okay. And depending on how they do, I guess the auntie is going to get to choose which woman is going to go out with him on a date later that night. Okay. Um so so that's where they left us with that. I was wondering because once again in this scene, you can't see it here, but you remember I was calling Shambria short shorts because of what she had on. And sure enough, in this scene, again, I'm talking like crazy short shorts. She said he got on pants, everybody chilling, comfortable. So I'm like, and this is a serious question. I was wondering, did they get to go back home and pack, or did they just have to bring all of their stuff, in the hopes that they would get to stay in the house? Like, I was just wondering, because I'm just like, is that all you packed? And it was like, say you didn't have to pack. They were like, "Hey, just come, and then if you're chosen to stay in the house, then you can go back and get your stuff." It's like, okay, well, you're in the house with his aunt, or mom or whatever. So you went and packed and still brought out this? I don't know. That's just a question. I don't know. Maybe they did have to pack and that's all she had. But it was just like, girl, what's going on? Okay. So then we get introduced to guy number 2. His name is James. He's 30 and he's an engineer, and he's looking for a partner to build a legacy with. Okay. And his mom, she is so sweet. Her name, we're going to call her Miss Charlease. Okay. So she is going to be the one that is choosing his, I guess, girlfriend for the end of the show. So he says that he does not have anybody yet because he just lived his life. He was wild. He did all the things, and now he's ready to settle down. And like I said, he's 30, so I'm gonna let him have that. That's fair. Now if he was 35 or 37 or something, that's different. But 30, okay. Like I said, for men, I think that's the sweet spot. That's when about 27 and on, that's when men kind of get more serious. And so I'm cool with that. Now, mom says she's had to pray 2 away. So I'm guessing 2 girlfriends that maybe he got close with. She said she had to pray 2 away. And she also says that she tries to tell him that he can't save everybody. And so I'm trying to get a read on Miss Charlease and see how she's coming off. Okay. Because I feel like there's 2 kind of moms, right? Really, okay. So like three type. Okay. So one is there's a mom that their son can do no wrong, right? Like they always are going to see the side of their son no matter what. it was her, you know, you okay, baby, type mama. So I was wondering when she says you can't save everybody and I had to pray two away, I was wondering if she was that type of mom where nobody's gonna be good enough for my son type, right? So you got that type of mama. Um, and then you got the mom that is for what's right. And that's the type of mom and mother-in-law you want. Thank God I have that. That, I'm not on his side, I'm not on your side. I'm just on the side of what's right. And I'm gonna call it like I see it type mom. Okay. But yeah, so trying to get a read on Miss Charlease. But just a early read with those two comments, I was like, I'm wondering if she's the type where nobody's gonna be good enough for my baby son. Okay, so we'll just put a pin in that. So then they start introducing us to the four women that James will have to choose from. So number one, again, I love the names. Her name is Brevon. She's an entrepreneur. She's 31, and she is looking for somebody's son who's a God-fearing man. Okay. Um, I didn't like the outfit. Okay. Now, if you're, I don't know, 23, 24 in your 20s, okay. But 31, I would have wanted something a little more, I hate to say it, but quality. Like everybody knows those stores. For us, it was called Rainbow. Like those stores where, you're in high school, you go into the club and a dress is $12 type thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what this was given to me. So I wasn't too much of a fan of the outfit. And sure enough, it was funny because soon as she walked through the door, Mama Charlease was like, "Girl, fix that outfit." Now, again, she's sitting, they can't see or hear her. She's like in a room watching this. But that was the very first thing she said. So I fell out laughing when she said that. And then so she comes into the Brevon comes into the house. She's like, he's like, "Do you want some champagne or wine or whatever it was?" And she's like, "Yeah, see, the art of it is you gotta tilt the glass to the side and pour it just right." And of course, Miss Charlease was like, "How do you know that? You drink too much? You got a drinking problem or something?" So again, I was like, "Okay, Miss Charlease is kind of critical." So it was kind of lending to what I was saying. She might do the most. Okay. Um. So they sit down and they talk a little bit before the second person comes. And what was interesting between them two is that he said that he's been playing golf since he was 6 and she had a golf scholarship. So I was like, wow, talk about the 1%, like talk about the rarest of the rare. I don't have any friends that play golf like that. So when you think about an African American woman that plays golf and is good, and then he's been playing since he was 6. So I thought that was really interesting. I thought that was something that they could potentially really enjoy doing together. So we'll keep our eye on that. That's a really cool thing to have in common. I know me myself, I love playing basketball, and so it's not hard to find a man that plays basketball. But so if I found somebody that was like, oh yeah, I had a scholarship playing basketball, that would really pique my interest. So I think that could be a common thing for them. So then the second woman joins the house. Her name is Sabrinae. Again, beautiful names. She's 29, property manager, and she is looking for somebody's son who's family oriented. You can't really see it here, but same. I feel like they went to the same place to get their outfit. I'm like, their own drop y'all off at this particular store. I was like, pick something. Like I don't know. I just and again, I'm definitely not the fashion police by any stretch, but if I know I'm gonna be on a show, like I'm gonna come with it. I'm gonna have like the flyest outfit on. It just wasn't, I don't know, for me. So she comes in and Miss C is like, so she had a belly ring. So Miss C was not feeling that. She was like, no, I'm not in a body piercing. I don't know why she got that belly ring on. So that was pretty funny. But she did get points because Sabrinae cooks. And so that was one of the things that Miss C had said earlier. She was like, I hope one of them can cook something. So I think Sabrinae did get some points for that. Okay. So then moving right along, we meet Miss Alyssia. So Alyssia is 25. She's a marketing coordinator and she's looking for somebody's son who's chivalrous. Now, this is what I'm talking about. I really liked this outfit. I thought it looks really nice. And let me go on full screen so I can see. Or I might not be able to keep it in full screen since I'm sharing it. But yeah, I thought this looked really nice. Again, this is what I'm saying. It's a way where you can give sexy but not give too much, right? And it still be stylish, it still be quality. She's wearing pants, you know what I mean? She's not showing too much. But it's nice, cute, classy. So I think she nailed it. This was really nice. However, Alicia lost me when she said that she's a hostess for nightclubs in the city. And see, that's why you gotta be careful of titles that people give themselves. A marketing coordinator, right? Basically, she is a hostess at nightclubs. And she's 25, so I can't really fault her for that, but he's 30 and he's looking to settle down. When you talk about being in a nightclub life, I mean, clubs don't open till what, 10? You know what I'm saying? They don't close to what, 2, 3? I don't know what area they're from. So, is that the lifestyle you want? I'm sure she's probably got to be going what, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the least. She's, 1, 2, 3 in the morning. Even when the club, shuts down, she probably has to stay an extra hour or two to do whatever. So, ah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that lifestyle. Again, I don't know if she's looking to do that forever or if maybe she has some other career path that she's leaning towards, but it would be a no from me on that. That's a really, really big thing. So let's see. Miss C said about her. She is cute, but she knows it. Okay. And so Miss C is saying that she thinks Alyssia is inauthentic. However, she is positive that that is who her son James is going to like. I guess he has a type. So she clocked it immediately. She was like, oh my God, he's going to like her because that's who he always goes for. But you can tell she wants him to try something different because that type of woman hasn't worked for him in the past. And yeah, and I'll get into that in a second. So the next person that comes in is Chisholm. So again, I've never heard of that name. Really nice. She's 28. She's an IT consultant looking for somebody's son who's oriented. And again, I gotta do a better job of getting pictures for y'all next time so y'all can see these outfits. But it literally looked like she was wrapped in a silk bed sheet, like, I'm serious. It's just a blue, just dress that goes straight down. I mean, I don't know what was going on with the outfits, but yeah. So that is Chisholm. So she said something interesting. She didn't expect the other ladies to be there. So that struck me because I assumed that they all knew they were coming on this show, game show, what have you. I thought they knew like, hey, you're gonna be on the show, call somebody's son. It's gonna be you and three other ladies. But I guess I know they didn't know about the mom part. But I guess they were under the assumption that only they would be dating this guy. And so that was very interesting that she said that. I was like, "Oh, they didn't expect the other ladies. That's interesting." So when she came, she was like, "Wait, what is this?" And I think that really affected her, and we'll talk about that as the time goes on. So Missy, as far as Chisholm goes, she said she liked her makeup, but she didn't think that Chisholm was comfortable. And again, that's what I'm saying. It's like soon as Chisholm seen the other ladies, I think it just did something to her. She just wasn't with it because she was kind of reserved the entire time. Okay, so we met the four ladies, and now it's time to bring Mama out. So James goes back to talk to his mom, and she gives him the rundown. And again, this is what I was saying, where she was like, "I know you like Alyssia." But she said Alyssia is for the streets. Yikes. So and then, in fairness, James was like, "You don't even know her. Like she just got here like 5 minutes ago." But, I will say that this tracks because obviously, men in general are gonna like the prettiest girl that they can get. Okay? More than likely, right? They want the prettiest girl that they can get. But a lot of times the pretty girl may not be what you need. Okay? And there is a such thing that's called pretty girl privilege. And again, I'm never talking about all people or making a blanket statement, but a lot of times when for women that are very, very beautiful, very, very pretty, you call it pretty privilege because a lot of times you can skate through life without having to do a lot because you can rely and fall back on your good looks. And that could be in any realm, right? It could be in school, you know, Mr. Such and such and Miss Such and such, I forgot my assignment or I don't really understand. It's okay, girl. Like you kind of just, but it's a thing. And I don't even know that people do it consciously. It could just be a subconscious thing. As humans, we love beautiful people, so you get away with a lot more. And I think that sometimes women that are very, very beautiful, they can lack certain skill sets. So maybe she didn't have to learn how to cook, right? Because there was always a guy like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm gonna take you out. Come over here. I got you. I'm gonna send you money. You always have people that are wanting to overly do things for you because they want your time. They want to be seen with you. They want you on their arm, So, and again, this is not all the time, but that is a such thing. So that I kind of wondered that with Alyssia, especially. So she's 25. She's doing the hostess thing, So I'm like, that's kind of playing to what I'm talking about here. But again, we don't know Alyssia, so we're gonna see. But just keep an eye out on that and I think that's what his mother was trying to explain, like, "You always go for this type." You know what I'm saying? And the scary part about dating a woman, like that is that if you get with her, she may be lacking certain skill sets, and more than likely, she not trying to work too hard, okay? She wants to put those good looks to work, and the way that she gets the payoff for that is I get with a man that's the provider that's gonna pay it all, buy it all. I'm not really trying to work. I might have a little hostess job here and there. I might do a little something, but I'm not trying to have no 9 to 5. Look at me. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. So it's like a trade-off. You can get somebody that's just so beautiful, so gorgeous, but you gonna pay for it, literally. So James has to be careful there. So what we do next is we're going to have the icebreaker. So this is when at this point she goes in, tells the women, I'm James's mom. They're all like, "Oh shoot, what's happening?" And so they all go outside and they're getting ready to do an activity so she can learn a little bit more about them, and so James can learn a little bit more about them. And so the first question is, what was your longest relationship like? Okay, and I believe that all the women get to answer it, but I guess because of, time, the show is only an hour, they can't show all the responses. And so they only showed us 2 responses, from Chisholm and Brevon. So Chisholm and again, y'all, I just think Chisholm was over it when she figured out she was having to compete with other women. You can see how she looking. So Chisholm says she's been in a relationship for 3 years. Literally, she was like, 3 years, and it was cool, it was lovely, and yeah. It was like no explanation. She was just so cut, so dry. It was like, "Girl, like, elaborate," you know? And so that's all she gave. And my opinion on this, again, this is my opinion. I think that from high school to the time you graduate college, so let's say 15 through 22, even 15 through 25, 26, you know what I'm saying? Um, I feel now I'm not saying that you should have a different boyfriend, girlfriend every month, but I think you should use that time to be in different relationships. And that does 2 things. That shows you what you like, what you don't like, what you're gonna go for, what you're not gonna go for. And then also it teaches you about yourself, right? You learn so much getting to be in different relationships with people with different personality types, all of that, right? You learn so much. So I think it's really vital and pivotal to be in different relationships and experience different things with different people. Again, I'm not saying to the extreme, but I think that's important. And so she's 28 and she was in a relationship for 3 years. And again, that's good. That's good. But I was hoping she would go into like what happened, why. I mean, 3 years is a long time. So I'm like, what happened with that? Why did y'all break up? Um, so yeah. So yeah, that was Chisholm. And then Brevon, and this is why I said that, because this kind of concerned me. She didn't date until she was 25. I'm like, "Girl, what was you doing? Like, how?" She's very pretty, so I'm just trying to understand. She said she was the only girl in her house. She's very protected. She's a preacher's granddaughter. Okay. And so all of that scared me because, like I said, is James your first, gonna be your first serious boyfriend? You know what I'm saying? It's hard to be somebody's first boyfriend or girlfriend. You kind of don't want to be in that position. You hope they get their experience out. So by the time they get to you, like they know themselves, they know what they're looking for. And so I'm gonna say a yellow flag on Brevon. I don't know what's happening there. That you didn't date until you were 25. I and then the whole I'm the only girl. I'm very protected. I don't know. That might be. I don't know. I'm interested to learn a little bit more about her background and her story. But what was so funny is, I guess evidently Brevon is very long winded, and so production and they'll play you. That's the thing. Production will play you, right? And so they had her like going on, and she was going on and on, but they kept like cutting the clip, like yeah, and da da da, and then da da da, and then da da da, and da da da, and da da da, and then Mama C was like, "Woo, that y'all can talk." So that was pretty funny. So Brevon is a talker and she's very long-winded. So we got some yellow flags there for Brevon. All right, so then the next question was dun dun dun. Should you and your partner have joint bank accounts or separate? Okay. And again, everybody probably answered it, but the only person they showed was Alyssia, which I don't think was by mistake. And this proves me right because I was already thinking this, what I told y'all. And then when the scene came up, I said I knew it. So Alyssia says, "Oh, we definitely need to have a joint account. I'm a spoiled princess. Told you, pretty privilege." And she said, "I just need the man to be the provider." See what I'm saying? It's exactly what I told y'all. She's used to getting away on the good looks, and her hope is that I can marry a man that has a lot of money and I don't gotta do too much. See what I'm saying? That's pretty much what she was saying in a nutshell. She was like, I mean, I can hold my own, but at the end of the day, I need a man to be the provider. She not trying to do too much. Okay. So again, James, you can get with her if you want to, but no, you better not lose that good paying job or it's gonna be a problem. Okay. Um, yeah, so she is all for joint account. The way I feel about this, joint account versus having separate accounts, and I understand that it can work both ways because millions of people do it both ways and it works both ways. But for me, I just always felt like if you have a roommate, right? When you have a roommate, it's like, okay, you pay this, I'm gonna pay this, you got that. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So I never understood how you get married to someone and you're still doing the roommate thing, right? Like when we get married, we're a team. You know what I'm saying? Like it's together. Everything's equal. Like that's how me and my husband do it. Not saying that that's the right way, but that's just how we view it. Like it's not my money and your money, and the reason how we came to that conclusion is, you guys know the number one cause of divorce is finances. So my thing was, how can we limit conversations about finances? And to me, I just feel like if we're doing a my money, your money, and you pay that bill and I pay this bill, I just feel like, especially when you start having kids, there are so many bills and things that happen that are unexpected, right? So the kid is sick and needs some Tylenol. Well, no, I paid for the diapers last time, so now it's your turn. You see what I'm saying? Or we're going to the movies. What do I got to pay every time? Or the car air condition went out. Now you the man, so you need to be paying, but it's your car. Again, it works because people do this and it works just fine. But for me, I just feel like it's constantly introducing, you constantly having to bring up who's gonna pay, who's gonna pay, who's gonna pay, and I just don't trust it. So we kind of do a hybrid model. We do best of both worlds. So we do have a joint account where all of our bills come out of that account. Um, any income we get goes in that account. So and that works too because it doesn't matter who's making more. So if I make $1 and he makes $1,000,000, we got 1,000,001. It don't matter where it's coming from. If I make 1,000,000 and he make $1, we still got 1,000,001. You know what I mean? It's all in the same pot. When he gets a bonus, I'm like, oh, good job, babe. Put it on in the pot. That's excellent. What we gonna get? And same with me. You know what I'm saying? So we're just all about having it equal. And then we have our personal accounts on the side, right? Now with our personal accounts, I don't track his account. He doesn't track mine. I don't have access to his. He doesn't have access to mine. So whatever he got going on in there, it's cool. He probably a millionaire because he don't buy anything. I'm always broke because I'm always spending all mine. But even with that, we get the same amount of allowance every 2 weeks. So it's not, well, you make more, so you take more. No, we both get the same amount. And if I want to spend all mine, that's on me. If he wants to save every dollar, he can. It doesn't matter. So that's the way we do it. So I'm a big proponent of just being a team, and just acting like as a team, like we're in this together for real. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I'm just a proponent of having a joint account just to limit the conversation about money. Everything we do comes out of our joint account and we both got a card to it. So it's really nothing to talk about. And then if we want something outside of that, then we can use our personal account and our allowance. So that's just how we do it. So that was a very interesting question. I wish they would have let everybody answer it, but I think on purpose they showed Alyssia. Okay, so then the next question she asked about, like, tell me a little bit about your family. And so for this one, they asked Chisholm and Sabernet. So Chisholm, again, this her answer took like 5 seconds. She was like, "Yeah, I have Nigerian parents with roots in Memphis, and yeah." I'm like, "Girl, you don't have nothing else to say." I think just Chisholm was over. She was ready to go. And then Sabernet, and I forgot to get a picture of her. Let me go back. She barely said anything. Y'all probably forgot who she was. So it's just Sabernet. So Sabernet says she's very close to her parents and she's over there every other day. So that was a yellow flag. Okay, I'm so happy that she's close to her parents and her family. So am I. Um, but why are you over there every day? And I think James said that too. He was like, in his confessional, like, ooh, I don't know about that. Because, you don't want a situation where you and your spouse, everything you do has to be ran by her parents, your in-laws. And she can't move and make a decision unless she's ask her parents about it or her cousin or, what I'm saying? Not saying that's her situation, but that's why I said yellow flag. Let's just keep an eye out for that. And then the last question was, what's your relationship with God? And James says that his mom teaches. So I don't know what that means. I'm just going to assume that maybe she's a minister of some type, because I'm pretty sure if she was a preacher, he would have said she was a preacher. But he used the word teaches. So I'm thinking he's a minister, and that's obviously a big thing in their household. And this might be a unpopular opinion, but I don't like this question. Um, and don't get me wrong, I'm in the church house each and every Sunday. So I'm not saying that, but I just think that this question can be manipulated. I mean, what's somebody gonna say? Yeah, I don't like God. I'm not into God. Like nobody's gonna say that. Everybody's gonna say, oh yeah, yeah, I believe in God, and everybody's gonna say that. So I just think that's really not a good question to ask. What you really need to do when you're dating is just look at their lifestyle. Like you can see it. You see what I'm saying? Especially men, y'all. Men are up on game these days. they know how important a God-fearing man is, and so they can use that, not all the time, they can use that to manipulate, right? So if you ask them that, of course, they might even have a Bible in their car or something, just doing something. Or another thing that I see, they'll know like one scripture, right, that they've known for the last 20 years, and they'll throw that out, to impress you. And don't let your mama be there. Then they really, oh yeah, Proverbs 4 and 6, because and that's the only scripture they know. And your mama was like, oh girl, you done found a good man. He go to church. And he ain't been in church in 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So just be careful of, men or women just talking about their relationship with God and all this stuff. You really should be able to see it. You'll be able to see it. I know, from my husband, we both grew up in the church, so it's like breathing to us, it's not, that's just what we do. But before I knew him, he went to church, a particular church. I had just moved to the area, so I was still just trying to figure out which church I was going to go to, and so we were dating, and I remember going to the church that he was at, and when I pulled up, he was serving. Uh, he was in the little parking lot ministry, and the cars come in, they help people park and everything. So I could see it. You see what I'm saying? He wasn't just saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, I go to church. I believe it." I seen it, and even when even when we would be talking, just casual conversation. That's one thing that really intrigued me about him. We might be saying something, and he might just be like, "Yeah, but it's cool because God's gonna see me through it," or da 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 da, and like that was just his normal language, and I could just see that he really practiced it. Um, and it wasn't just something he said one time, and then I couldn't see any fruit from it in his life. So just beware of that. That's just a pet peeve of mine. People just throwing that out. But anyway, so Alyssia answered this, and she said she was raised in a it is so funny because I was like, Alyssia, shh, stop, stop, stop. She was raised in a duality household. Her mom was Christian and her dad was spiritual. And you gotta remember, y'all, Miss C, she obviously is a minister. Like, she came up with this question. This is important to her. And so I was like, Alyssia, you doing too much. So of course Alyssia was like, what you mean he was spiritual? And here she go with a whole explanation. And I was like, girl, be quiet. She was like, yeah, he didn't really go to church, but he was a good person. He just believed in being a good person. Da, da, da. And of course, Miss C in her confessional was like, oh no, you got to be in the word. Like, I don't play about that. And I feel her, I'm with her. And yeah, Lissy was just, she just should have, yeah, she did too much right there. And I was interested to see what Chisholm might say. She says she's from Nigeria and she's on Igbo, I think is how you pronounce it. And I know a large segment of them are Christian, but there is another segment that has another religion. So I wish they would have showed us her answer, but they did not. So maybe it wasn't interesting enough. Maybe she just said she was Christian. Um, yeah, so faith is really important. I like this question. I don't like question. But faith, it really is important, especially when you have kids. That's when I've seen this go wrong, because what happens when it's Christmas? Are you guys going to celebrate Christmas or Easter, or so that it really is a big deal. You may can get away with it when it's just you two. When you start introducing kids, I just think it's a lot. So I just say, you make it easy. Just be with somebody who's your same faith. I think I'm not saying it can't work any other way, but man, you're adding a whole other layer of complexity. Well, I want to pray. Well, I don't want to pray. Well, I think we need to go to church on Sunday mornings. Well, I don't think it take all that. And it's just a lot. I know me personally, I couldn't be with anybody that wasn't a believer because I don't got time to. And again, it's just an extra layer of arguments and stuff that's just not worth it. And that's why the Bible really talks about being equally yoked, because it's harder. You think about it. Back in the day, to move, large things, they didn't have equipment, of course, like we have today. So you had to use animals, and that's where that term term comes from, right? So you have one that has like this thing around its neck, and it's tied to another animal that also has another, I don't know the proper terms, things around its neck, right? So then you put something big on the animal's backs, and when they're walking straight, they can carry those big things. Well, what happens if one of the animals is smaller than the other, right? Unequally yoked. Well, if this one's smaller and this one's bigger, and you put this big thing on them, and again, they have these chokers on their necks with the, and with the wood in between, and one's small, one's big. Well, what's going to happen is when they're carrying it, instead of them going straight, they're going to end up going in a circle because this one's small and it's not carrying the weight right, right? So then they end up just going in a circle. And that's the whole point of being equally yoked. When you're unequally yoked with somebody, and I'm not trying to preach, it's hard because you end up going in a circle, right? And what you want to be doing with your spouse is you want to be going straight. You want to be going through to purpose, through to your goal. So that's where that, I know we just throw that being equally yoked, but that's what it really means. So it is not saying it can't work, but man, it is hard because you will be going around and around. Okay. So that's where we end there. And then we pick back up here with the photo shoot, right? So they're going to be doing photo shoots. And I was confused because when they said doing a photo shoot, I figured they were like going somewhere nice, maybe outside or like a park or some place. And the photo shoot was like downstairs in the kitchen. And they had a photographer come. So I guess. And so all the girls looked really good. Y'all, we'll get to it, but Shambria short shorts. Why did she have? I think that's all she packed, and I promise you, that's like the same outfit she had on last show, like the same as outfit, like the short one with the straps. I was just like, girl, you gotta switch it up. You gotta have different styles for different things, you know. And it just seems like she only knows like one style. Um, but anyway, so first up. And I done forgot their names already, y'all. I'm so sorry. Lexi, I think that's her name. So Lexi is first up, and their photo shoot is in the kitchen. So she went first. They had really good chemistry, and she seemed to be having a lot of fun. The other girls were kind of intimidated, like, "Oh shoot." He was really into it. He did a really good job with these as well. So then Shambria was up next, like I said, with the short shorts, and they were like on the steps or whatever. Um, they started kissing. It looked like they had good chemistry as well. I don't know. The whole photo shoot thing was kind of weird, but yeah, they were like kissing in the mouth. I was like, what's happening here? You know him for like 12 hours. But anyway, so theirs was good as well. And then it was funny because Tamaris, they were like on a pool table or whatever. But so she just seen him and Shambria like kissing and everything. So she was kind of turned off. And then he tried to kiss her. And she like went to the side, like, yeah, you can kiss my cheek. Like you were just kissing her in the mouth. So she was a little reserved, but she kind of warmed up as the time went on. And the other thing I thought was pretty funny was how into it the aunt was. I was like, did you do this in a previous life? Did this used to be your career? Because she was like, oh yeah, go towards her. No, pull her back. Put your hands around her waist. Yeah, and then I mean, she was really into it. I just thought that was odd because I know I would cringe if I had to do this for one of my sons. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, baby, grab a waist. Like, I I don't know, but she was loving it. She was into it. So I thought, well, maybe this is something she used to do. And maybe that's why they picked this as an exercise. I don't know. I'm making this up, but I just thought that was wild how she was like so into it like that. All right, so then the last scene is we're back to James, and it's time for his mom to make a decision. And it was funny because James was like terrified that his mom was gonna send Alyssia home because that's who he really wanted. um, so she thinks Chisholm is too quiet, which I agree. And like I said, Chisholm was over it, y'all. So She thinks that Brevon has a nice personality but talks too much. Also, I agree. Sabrinae, she likes her family dynamic. Remember, she's over her family's house like every other day. So, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. We shall see. And she thinks Alyssia is too superficial, which I also agree. And again, like I said, James is terrified that she's going to send Alyssia home. And she did not send Alyssia home, and I'm glad she didn't because you don't want him to be now. I ultimately don't think she's gonna choose Alyssia, but you don't want to start off by whacking the person that he really likes and having him upset and not enjoying the process. So I'm glad she kept her. So ultimately, as you guys might imagine, Chisholm was on the chopping block. She got sent home, and I agree. Like, she was just not giving good answers, very reserved, quiet, wasn't elaborating, at least from what we seen on camera. Um, and again, it validated what we thought because in her confessional as she was leaving, she did express how the whole process was weird and threw her off when she seen the other women. I guess when she's like, am I on a game show or something? I think that just kind of threw her off. I was a little disappointed. So when they get voted off, the young man walks them out the house and into the vehicle. And so James walked her out, and I wish he would have said something to her. He just walked her out, opened the door up, and put her in there. Um, and she said, hey, you have a nice group of girls to choose from. And he was like, yeah, thank you. She was like, I wish you the best. He was like, yeah, appreciate that. And I wish he just would have been like, hey, I appreciate you being a part of the process. You're a very beautiful woman. And I hope, I wish he would have said something. And so I don't know. I don't know. James does seem like a cool guy, but and then something else that threw me off, like when I can't remember which one of the ladies, when they came to the house, she was like, oh man, I'm so happy to meet you. He was like, yeah. So I wonder if he's a little self-absorbed too. Normally when somebody says that, you're like, yeah, I'm happy to meet you too. And so those two interactions, I'm just storing those at the back of my head. But yeah, so that was episode 2. And so again, so far so good. I'm really enjoying the show. And we're gonna meet the last guy next week, I'm assuming, and they'll probably get us caught up on these two situations. And then I'm guessing in episode 4, we're just gonna be pinging back and forth through all 3. So yeah, so it was really good. I enjoyed it. And I will see you guys next week for episode 3 of Somebody's Son.